Internet of Things makes our cars driverless, our homes connected, our cities smart, and factories run seamlessly. Artificial intelligence combined with IoT data is where the business value is created. Imagine yourself in the driverless world. I will teach you to pivot your career and innovate in your business using IoT, AI, and autonomous vehicles. Let's begin your journey with me today. Hello, everybody. I'm Sudha Jamthe. Today, we have an amazing guest, Patrick Slavenburg, who's joining us from Amsterdam. Patrick is a physicist who works in IoT, building data-driven products. And he has taken many different meanders which has shaped how he actually looks at IoT, the complexity of IoT, the data-driven nature of IoT. That is why he's here today. One of the things that impressed me is he's interested in the mix of digitization and climate change. So welcome, Patrick.
Thank you. Hi, everybody.
So tell me a little bit about your career. I mean, you started off from being a physicist, you've been a chemical trader, you've worked in telecom, and then now you're in IoT, and that too, like, you're like a data-driven product leader.
Ever since I was a kid, I was really fascinated by science fiction, and it's not the post-apocalyptic Mad Max, really the world goes to hell science fiction, but more the Star Trek utopian vision. And much later, I realized why. It's because there are so many of these intelligent autonomous systems that are running in the background. There's spaceships that dock automatically, flying cars, you're coming to your home and knows everything about you in a good way. And that means that humanity could focus or can focus on science, on discovery, and on developing their talents. And if you're really smart, you get to go to the Starfleet Academy. Right?
I love the idea that you're talking about being inspired by Star Trek, but more pragmatic stuff, automating boring stuff, which is what AI should be doing. I remember one episode where they go to this planet and they have this advanced species, which is so advanced that it's all brains only. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So I think about it today when we are looking at AI, and there is so much hype about, AI is going to think for us and AI is going to take over the world. I mean, do you see that your inspiration of Star Trek is more pragmatic? Like, is it IoT for agriculture and smart city and stuff like that? Or do you go to that element of AI?
It goes back to that sci-fi thing where I think, hey, I really want to do something, first of all, AI was just very fascinating to me. And if you just, AI was traditionally launched as big data, before it was called AI and before it was called machine learning. I really like the fact that it's affecting the physical world, because with that, it helps transform society. Ajay Agrawal, Avi Goldfarb, they came up with a model for describing artificial intelligence basically as a prediction machine. And a prediction machine has input data, has output data, and it predicts for one type of data, other type of data. And so like any other input, economic input, you can sort of apply the laws of economics there. And if you look at it that way, and I use that model also to apply to edge analytics, because then you can say, well, if human judgment, what the prediction machine does is it's actually what AI does is it makes prediction cheap. So it's very cheap to predict based on input data, to predict output data. So if that becomes cheap, that means that human tasks are going to be replaced by it, but also that you're going to redefine human tasks that weren't prediction tasks before as a prediction task, because you can do it cheaply. Okay. And then what happens then is that you have to judge over it. So the human judgment becomes more emphasized, more than before. And basically, if you have tons of X-rays that algorithms can determine whether you have a tumor there or not, then the doctor is going to have to make a judgment call, what they're going to do with the treatment and all that.
So that's what today it is called as augmented intelligence, right? The doctor example that you gave, right?
Yes.
Or even the most common one that is really, real in industry is predictive maintenance.
Right.
An AI model says, with a high degree of confidence that this machine is going to break or this airline part is going to break, send this for maintenance, and there is a physical cost to it. And
yes, but if you talk about business value, this predictive maintenance is actually an interesting one, because no one is going to pay for a predictive maintenance subscription. I seriously doubt that there's going to be a customer said, okay, you offer predictive maintenance for the machine I have, and you pay subscription. This is not happening. And I saw this case it's a German Mittelstand, so let's say a mid-sized company in Germany. They're called Mittelstand. They're all usually family owned still, and they usually have turnovers anywhere from, let's say, 50 to 100 million to a billion or so. And this one has a couple of 100 million. And it's called Boge, and they make compressors. They have a predictive maintenance model. They sell 2 compressors to a hospital because the hospital always needs to have energy, and if one falls out, then they have the other. But the hospital isn't paying for predictive maintenance there. What they're paying for is a guaranteed uptime of that compressor 24/7.
Yeah.
They do is, and they're willing to pay a little bit extra for that because, maybe from other countries, doesn't matter which ones, they can't get that kind of ironclad guarantee. And, patients are going to die, so they're willing to pay a bit more to not have patients die because energy falls out. Now,
this will take us to a different plane altogether, but that is how IoT is evolving from a product to a service business model.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it gets more interesting.
Yeah, and the thing is, the companies who are coming with these AI models and say, hey, we can make this prediction, now they have skin in the game. So I was talking to this lady, Rebecca Wolkoff, who is a machine learning engineer here in Silicon Valley in NLX, which is the green tech unit of the Italian utilities, Enel. And they actually build machine learning models for battery storage for buildings, but they make sure that the batteries are utilized efficiently, and they get a markup of the saving that they make. So they make their AI models, and they just don't give the data and say, here, go manage demand response, but they actually say, we're going to give you cost saving, we're going to split that cost saving. So I think that's a good thing.
It's a great example because it shows you another trend in IoT. If you talk about business value, AI, IoT, and that's outcome. Too many teams are still focused on output. And again, with Agile, you have that tendency to focus on output. Hey, deliverable increments, shipped. Okay, great. But if you talk to facility managers, at least here in Holland, they call them facility managers, so they manage buildings. They say, you know what, all this technology, it's way over my head. I don't care anymore. You're getting the contract to save me 10% of the cost, and you get Y euros or dollars for that. Now, it's interesting because what happens, that means that your income becomes a little bit probabilistic. Yeah? It's different than when you are selling this cup and say, okay, $10 for this cup, and I'm going to sell 5 million cups of it. So I kind of know, give or take 100,000, what I'm going to make. With this kind of thing, it can get more complicated, because what if that particular battery is part of, and of course I don't have to tell you that because you're the expert in this, but it's part of a car. Now you can do predictive whatever on that battery, but no customer, no consumer is going to pay for that. So the consumers are going to say, hey, I get a car that always drives, I've service once a year, somehow some stuff is changed, I don't care, cost me this how many $100 per year contract, and that's it. So, but now you're part as a battery maker with that predictive algorithm on it as part of an ecosystem, and maybe you get paid by the results of the whole ecosystem instead of just by the results of how much you save with that battery. And so then it becomes really complicated, also with liability or otherwise. How do you know how much money you're going to make if it's a result of a total ecosystem that could, for whatever reason, also fail?
I think Michelin is an example in the car space where they have sensors, they check for tire pressure. And so you would not get a flat tire. So how do you price it that I want a tire that would never have a flat tire?
Yeah.
Because we feel the pain only when it happens. And I'm one of those people who's had that pain many times, and driving to work, and I hate going down on my knees and checking the tire pressure, even if I have that little unit. And maybe I would pay for it after I felt the pain, right? How do you sell that to a new customer saying, I'm going to give you a car with this part, it's better than the one that would eventually have a flat tire one day. Now we are here, IoT Day 2019.
Yeah.
Where do you see us going? Do you have a prediction for us?
Yeah, I see us going with IoT, and especially the combination of IoT and AI, in areas that are less influenced by humans. So anything greenfield and anything that involves new problems, I think that's where you're going to see it taking off. One of the reasons why climate change is interesting in that sense too is that it does involve a whole bunch of new problems that are sort of outside the scope of traditional structures and hierarchies and processes, and therefore we have the opportunity to do something new and to really help solve it. But as far as the change in traditional companies are concerned, and I talk to a lot of digital leaders in mid-size and larger corp, I don't get a happy feeling when I hear all these stories. Let me put it that way.
So you're less optimistic, or you're more cautious about digital transformation in established companies. You think it is slow, but related to climate change, you're optimistic because it's blue sky. Shouldn't call it blue sky, it's gray sky.
Yeah, so it's blue oceans kind of thing instead of the red oceans, if you refer to the book. That's why I think IoT and AI is taking off in agriculture as well, because you have farms, but other than that, you don't have these huge, hierarchical structures and habits and all that to deal with. So you see where it sort of starts to take off is in all these new areas outside these big organizations and big structures.
Sounds good. So with that, we are wrapping up for today. Thank you so much, Patrick. This was such a fun conversation, and I hope you'll come back and talk to us again. Thank you so much.
Very much appreciate you taking the time to talk and have this conversation with me. I know you're super busy, so
thank you so much.
To feel special that way.
Thank you.